Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet and of YouTube. Welcome to Jibber Jabber. Let's just talk for a while. As always, I am your host, Skajaramas, otherwise known as Tone Shift. With me today, we have not a full house, but got a bunch of people. We've got Paladin 57. We have the author of the Change series and the author of Soaring on Little Wings, as well as co-author on many ADCverse stories, Tom117Z.
Aye.
We have Hades Shando 92, who is also here.
I love how you said my name. That was just amazing.
And lastly, we have the unfortunately rather sick and forcing himself to go through this, even though he doesn't have to, and for that we appreciate it, Blank Page, the author of Human Nature and Their Very Own Sons.
I'm trying to think of something really witty right now, but honestly, my brain is sludge. I swear.
Yeah. Good enough.
Amazing.
That's me all the time.
So, how's everyone's week been?
Decent.
Yeah, it's been on and off.
I'd say I can't complain, but I don't want to stay a bold place lie.
Just 1 more week until Easter, and then I can have a break from university. That'd be nice.
Hooray!
Hey.
Hey.
I'll have time to catch up on all of your readings.
Woohoo! Yeah. So, to start things off, I do have a couple of topics I kind of want to touch up on. First things first, can I just gush about the video game I beat last night?
No.
Well,
No.
this is your deal, so we can't really stop you.
Do your lap dance.
What?
Paladin, you're fired.
Thank you.
Didn't realize he was tired.
He wasn't. I hired him just so I could fire him. Just now.
Sounds about right.
Well,
No, you can't fire him. He quits.
No, he doesn't. He's already fired. He didn't get the chance. Anyways, so
You're not even paying me.
He's paying you.
Man, I'm going to call the workers' union.
anyways,
Let's go on strike.
fuck you. That's what I get for trying to tell a joke. All right.
Yeah.
So, last
We love
night.
you, Tom.
No, you don't. Last night.
No, I don't.
Last night, I finished The Last Guardian. I know I'm kind of like a year late to that party, but
Well, we come to expect that from you.
shut up. It was. Can I just say that for a completely blind, on a whim purchase with only word of mouth, and very little of it at that, mind you, and a picture and one trailer, I am honestly feeling like I robbed the developers by only paying $40 for it. I want to give them more because holy shit, that was good. I loved it.
I hope so. They worked on it for a decade.
And I can see why. They absolutely nailed the animal companion. They absolutely nailed Trico. He really seems like an actual animal with the way he moves and behaves. And let me put it to you this way. When the game has me talking to a bunch of pixels on a screen as if it were an actual animal, they did a fucking good job.
Did he eat you?
3 times,
Multiple
actually.
times.
Yeah, 3 times.
Was the third one the final?
Yes.
The final passing.
The final om-nom, and then he threw me up each time.
Oh, I thought he kept you in.
No.
No, we're not. We're a safe channel. We don't talk about those things.
we don't talk
We
about...
are not a safe channel.
Yeah.
If nothing else, we're not a pornographic channel, except for those occasional weird instances where I decide to just drop all inhibitions and loudly proclaim that Trixie wants blowjobs.
I was going to say it, but
Oh.
he said it anyways.
No.
Or you drop
Yeah.
pictures in the chat and they say, "Oh yeah, they fucked."
It's not an explicit image, if that's what you're wondering.
Speaking of which, I still see like some things get uploaded into the Not Safe for Work channel of this little thing we got going on, and I still don't have it so I can like look into it. And I really don't ever want to.
Well, we've got very few things. The last thing we actually had in there was 10 seconds flat.
Okay.
Oh god.
Yeah, for context, for anyone listening in who doesn't know what the fuck we're talking about, we're doing all of the recording on this from my from the Discord server that I have set up for patrons and the authors of the stories I record, like Tom or Blank. So, like, Paladin and Hades are patrons, Tom and Blank aren't, but they wrote the stories I've recorded. Multi-chapter stories grant the author access rights, basically. So that's kind of like what happened with Tangerine Blast, although she never actually shows up. Anyways, in this Discord server, we have an NSFW chat. I almost never go in there except on very rare occasion. It's mostly there because I just know that sooner or later, when I've gotten big enough and I have enough of a following and enough patrons, that's going to be one of the most active rooms here. Might as well just have it set up in advance so that all the people will have somewhere to go. And it's kind of also why I made Lurker's Lane. The whole point of that is so that once I've grown big enough and like there are enough people in this Discord server, people will just hop in there just to wait and see if I show up.
And yet you're
It's nice if you
they're
can
going, hey guys, I'm here.
Show. Oh, nope.
Most interesting thing that's happened in Not Safe for Women so far, though, is I made Brian do a spit take.
What?
The true
Overall,
ending.
spitting though.
Little glimpses.
Hang on, I don't remember this. Let me go have a look.
Oh god.
We probably shouldn't actually be okay, that's not something I thought I'd be reading today. I just remembered the fact that at one point my face got jerked off in VR chat.
Oh, I remember
that,
that.
Brian.
You said that.
Very above that.
Should I tell that story before we move on?
No.
Yeah,
No.
Well,
Look at, and also it's the three above that I was talking about.
The post above that?
I don't mind.
The three
God.
posts above that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I need a
Fine.
little... Ow! Fuck! The reason I repressed that... okay, yeah.
I'm so glad I'm blind to it.
Yeah, you know what? Frankly, I'm not even going to explain it. The audience can just figure it out for themselves.
All right.
Rainbow Dash has been very naughty.
Oh
Shut
my
up.
God.
Oh my goodness. I'm a little more sick now, guys.
God.
Let me get back to... So,
Last Guardian.
Last
So,
Guardian.
what happened?
It's a good thing you don't know who with.
Shut up, Tom.
Shut up, Tom.
No.
Last Guardian, go.
So, yeah.
Wait, it was with the Last Guardian?
Shut the fuck up.
God damn.
You're the one who's telling us
with
to
the
stop
guy.
on this NSFW chat, and then all of a sudden you're contributing? Dude, hypocrisy.
It wasn't with the last Guardian, it was just with the legal Guardian.
Stop! Good
God damn it, Tom.
No regrets.
I will
broke
fucking...
it.
I will
so
fucking...
much.
One regret.
Okay, Tom, warning. If you keep doing that, I will mute you for 5 minutes. I am not kidding.
Bet.
I'm sorry, I need to breathe. I can't breathe.
Episode 8, let's laugh out loud for a while.
Episode-
Oxygen, I'm dying. Almost fell off
You
my
good?
chair.
Let's say you get
I'll just one breathe.
Tone, you're rather quiet right now.
You done?
No.
Maybe think about it.
I could say more, but I guess you
Let's
just...
not.
We don't want you to die of asphyxiation, though, so... Probably wise you stop.
You don't?
I mean,
you
I would
need to
like.
finish-
I mean, I would like it, but I'm better than that. So
You need to finish Little Wing and Ward of Change, then you can die.
Oh, but then
You
we
don't
wouldn't
have
have
to
Jibber
pick up,
Jabber anymore.
Forgiveness spending, I think.
Oh, we can
It
have
was never
Jibber
any
Jabber.
Yeah,
buckles.
we-
As long as we have Tone.
You just have half the madness. Oh, I actually feel lightheaded after that. I stopped breathing for a good minute.
Oh, that was a productive first 10 minutes. Let me get back to gushing about The Last Guardian.
Oh, I got 50 more.
Let's make it safe to Lunar again.
So, I will say this: The Last Guardian does have a few problems, mostly in the realms of performance issues. The camera is kind of janky, and sometimes textures get noticeably low resolution in some spots. It's not enough to ruin the experience or even
I
really
think I got
hinder
pills
it.
for that. The performance.
It's
Sorry,
not enough
guys,
to
go
ruin
ahead.
it's not enough to ruin the experience or even really slow it down from where I'm standing.
No, his experience today has been ruined, I think.
It's not enough to ruin the game at all. At most, is a very minor inconvenience for me. And I really do like the fact that it doesn't really present its story in a super clear way. It gives you just enough context and just enough information to try and piece things together yourself, kind of like Dark Souls. Except in this case, I didn't go and actually look at any of the story analysis videos online before playing it. I just played it blind. And I'm rather happy with how it turned out and the fact that I was actually able to piece together something resembling sensical from the pieces.
Hey, Tone, you're starting to sound like a robot.
Well,
You do
that
a little bit.
well, that won't be a problem on my end
Okay.
because it's picking up direct input from my microphone on my end. So,
Holy shit. A bunch of stuff has been posted on the question today. If you knew animations, a synopsis, and some animatics for season 8.
okay,
Oh,
cool.
boy.
I don't think I'm gonna go look at any of that. Yeah, I just adjusted the Discord server to a US Central instead of US West. Hopefully that'll make me come through a bit more clearly to you guys.
Yeah, you sound better.
Yep, you sound good now.
Although the rest of you are probably going to lose some quality in the final recording as a result, but oh well.
Oh well.
But yeah, I rather liked The Last Guardian, and because the whole point of that game is forging a bond with a giant, adorable, and extraordinarily powerful animal companion, I kind of want to springboard off of that to talk about pets some of us may have had or still do have, if any of us have had pets to begin with.
I have 4 dogs currently, so yes.
I still have a doll who used to have 4 cats.
Well, as it is, I just really quickly, obviously I have the current cat, Maya. Pure black cat, striking yellow eyes, total bitch. But we
know
love her
cats.
all the same. In fact, her bitchy attitude is kind of why we love her. She keeps us on our toes. She's insane. She's psychotic. Interestingly enough, the day we got her, we didn't even really know she was there. Like, okay, let me put it to you this way. Let me tell this story. At one point, we'd been without a pet for a good few years, and my mom was starting to get the itchings to have another pet. We couldn't have a dog where we were, at least not without a gigantic deposit. So instead we decided to go with a cat. Smaller deposit, and generally they're more self-sustaining. So a bit more practical and, So we looked up the local Humane Society web places and stuff and discovered, a listing of several cats, one of which was Maya. Excuse me. And in her picture, she was just the most bug-eyed little thing. Like, I swear, I looked at her and almost said, her eyes are almost as big as a pony in proportion to her body. From, MLP, obviously. Now, and so a few days later, we actually went out to the Humane Society to, look at the selection they had, say hi to some of the cats, see what might actually work. And while we were sort of looking through the assortment, one of the people there, one of the volunteers who was helping out, pointed out, oh yeah, there's Maya down there in that cage on the bottom. And so Mom had to crouch all the way down, and sure enough, there was Maya in that cage. And what Mom did, we were allowed to sort of open the cages to take the cats out to say hi and be introduced. What Mom did is she opened the cage, and then Maya just immediately started climbing on her. Just shoved her face into Mom's scarf and just climbed right through it and just hung off of her shoulder like, okay, hi, thanks, take me home now, let's go. like it's always kind of been our philosophy with pets is we don't necessarily choose the pet picks us, and we just take them home. It's when you get the animal that says, about time, let's go home. That's when you know that's the one.
Maya just jumped on your mother's like, you're mine now. Feet.
Anyway, so, and what's interesting is the fact that Maya was initially, brought into the Humane Society as a stray when she was a kitten. She was 2 years old when we got her. No one had wanted her until then. I mean, she had been adopted once, but had been brought back the next day because apparently the people who adopted her didn't know the first goddamn thing about cats and were upset because she was scratching the furniture. So for 2 years of that cat's life, her whole world was a metal cage. And then we come along and take her home, and for like the first few weeks, she would not leave the room we first deposited her in, and for like the first few days, she would not come out from behind the couch because her whole world just increased in size by like 100 times. Now, she's still terrified of the actual outside. Like if she goes out there, she's gonna hide under something and start yowling in discomfort. She does not like the actual outside. I want to get her more comfortable with that, but the problem is actually getting her to go out there while also making sure she doesn't run away in a terror.
It's probably because she's wondering where the ceiling is.
That might be part of it. It also might be all the extra added sound effects and things fluttering about. She's a very skittish cat. It doesn't take much to get her bolting across the other side of the house. But that's kind of the story about Maya. Now there's another pet we had some time back, a little Shih Tzu puppy named Misha. Now, we got Misha when I was little, and Misha passed away some years back. Kind of depressing, but I'm over it at this point. But she was just the dumbest fucking dog. And I say this with love. She was a lovable doofus in every sense of the word. Let me put it to you this way. At one point, out at my grandmother's house, where Misha spent, the last few years of her life because she couldn't actually live with us anymore because of the place we'd moved to. She wasn't allowed to be there, be landlord's orders. As we were, I wasn't there for this. This is a story I heard secondhand, but apparently she was not allowed into the kitchen while everyone was making food because she got underfoot and became a hassle. So they put her, on the back porch, or not the back porch, the pantry, I guess, and put a bunch of chairs up to keep her from coming in, like a barricade. Just as an afterthought, David took a slice of meat, one of her favorite foods, and just put it in the middle of the kitchen. And Misha, who for the last 10 minutes had been completely incapable of getting to this barricade of chairs, suddenly became ethereal and just passed right through the barricade of chairs like it wasn't even there and just ate up the meat. The way I see it, Misha was a dumbass until food became involved. With the right incentives, mainly being enough food, that dog would have been able to find the cure for cancer, probably somewhere up her fluffy backside.
God.
And she sneezed a lot, too. And interestingly enough, this dog spawned sort of a running joke in my family and our D&D campaigns. The Shuzitsu Warrior. Whenever there is a dwarven blacksmith running a shop, they always have a little Shih Tzu dog in samurai armor sitting on the counter, safeguarding the store. And these Shuzitsu warriors you do not fuck with. You do not. A Shuzitsu warrior can stop an entire army by sneezing at them. That's their ultimate weapon. Their most powerful attack is a Shih Tzu sneeze. Entire armies have been toppled. Giants have fallen to their knees in terror. Dragons have turned around and noped away. Nope, I'm not paid enough to deal with this.
Nope.
And there's just a cute little fluffy dog just sitting there, standing tall and proud in samurai armor going, chicken?
Nope.
Well then,
So
That
there
was
are some of my fun doggy stories. Blank, you seem to have puppies. Why don't we go with you next for your... Do you have any
There's one
funny...
time I accidentally kicked my dog across the living room.
Why would you do that?
Okay, now that I got your attention, let's go to the real story. So,
Okay, Blank, you're kind of coming through kind of staticky and kind of tinny. Is your mic close to your face?
I mean, it wasn't. It can be.
It would probably be better if it were
How's
closer.
this? I'm practically breathing into it, though.
It kind of sounds tinny. Maybe like the plugs are not quite working or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll tell me if it's too much of a distraction, and I'll just unplug and plug it back in, or I'm not gonna drop out.
Yeah, go
All
ahead.
right. So the time I kicked my dog across the room, she was still really small. Like I'm talking like small if I can like fit her in my hand, and she was getting to the point where she was teething a lot. So she would like bite as much of the, like just whatever she could get her little paws on. And I was just I wasn't wearing any shoes or socks or anything one day. I was just kind of like sitting on a recliner and no, I just feel something like pinch my big toe. And out of reflex, kind of just lift it forward. Next thing I know, I hear oh, just like, and a little brown blur just kind of flying across and landing on the couch across the room.
You're so mean.
Oh my goodness. So I felt so horrible. I held her in my arms for like the rest of the day, I swear.
It's like, I'm sorry. You see, that's how you can
Precious
tell the
little
difference.
thing.
You see, that's how you can tell the difference between an asshole and a good person. The asshole will kick the dog and laugh about it. A good person will kick the dog and then immediately apologize and hug them and offer them treats and belly rubs.
Oh yes, pretty much. That was me the rest of the
Wasn't
day.
there a story where Fluttershy kicks a puppy?
Oh, there are 2 stories, and they're great.
I read a story where Fluttershy kicked every puppy, and they all died. But they weren't actually puppies, so it was fine.
Yes, I put that in the fancy little fiction
Yeah, that's why.
channel. I put the other one too.
Yeah, that's where I read it. That's how I found
Oh
out
my
about
god.
it. Fucking
I hate-
Quality stories. Only for the best character too.
Yeah.
All right, stories of pets. Anyone else?
I've had many dogs in the past.
I mean, like, I don't know, just pick a story that you think is fun and go with it.
When's the last time you kicked a puppy?
I've never kicked a puppy. I can
You're
say
missing
that
out, man.
much. Wow.
But I've got a depressing story with a puppy involved in it.
Well, I mean, we're kind of looking for cute, uplifting, and funny stories here, not depressing.
Yes, I know.
So
Um,
refrain from that.
yes.
I could tell you a few bad ones right off the bat. I'm just trying to think of a funny one.
I got a funny cat story.
While Tom's trying to figure out his dog story, why doesn't Hades tell his funny cat story?
Okay, so I had this one cat since I was little, and she died like a few years ago. But that's not the funny part. So, mom,
The end, guys. Good show.
no, mom wanted a new cat so bad, but my dad is not the biggest fan of cats, so he was like, I don't really want one. So what mom just, and then all of a sudden, the next few weeks later, my cousin finds this stray little kitten. There's a little black and white kitten. He's adorable. And so mom really wanted this cat. So she had one of my other cousins sneak it into her workplace and hide it from my dad, then called me after I got out of school to come take it, sneak it out, and sneak it home.
Some Black Ops level shit here.
I know, and it's hilarious. So you just see me carrying this box out of the office, and nobody's questioning it. So I get it, and I take the little guy, I put him in the front seat, and we make it all the way home. He kind of cried all the way up there, and it was a little annoying. But so we get home, and soon about half hour later, mom finally gets home, and she wants to, and she just has to go and sees the kitty, and it was so adorable that first night because she loves cats that will just get up and they will just snuggle all the time. So she wanted to turn him into a snuggle cat.
Okay.
First thing she did was that night after we went through that whole fiasco of dad finally seeing it, it's like, okay, you know what, I don't care anymore. and so all I see is mom in her recliner in the living room just with a big fluffy blanket, just putting the little guy right up under her chin. It was so adorable. Next thing I know, I see the kitty I see him just kind of move his head a little bit towards her face. Next thing I know, nip, bit her right on the lip. And it was so adorable, yet she was so mad at it. But
Ow, my face. It's called a love bite, sweetheart.
It was so funny. And ever since that day, I swear these two, they just don't get along.
Oh.
They don't. It was a bit disappointing because And the funniest part of this whole story is the one that he connects to the most is dead.
Right.
Like he'll literally just jump on my dad just out of nowhere and just lay there. And it's like, really? But he's all right. He's pretty big boy, and he's decent. He likes me. Doesn't like mom.
Maya doesn't like my grandma at all. Those two do not get along.
My grandmother's cat hated me. My aunt's cat. She, oh god, her name was Rooster. She was this massive, fluffy ginger thing.
Rooster?
And yes, Rooster. Whenever I would come round my nan's, this is when I was still in single digits. Rooster's passed away now. But back when my nan lived in a 2-story house, she would always sit at the top of the stairs and guard it from me to prevent me from going upstairs. And if I get close, she'd just start hissing, like telling me to get the fuck out of there because it's her house and I have no right being there. Little shit. Like, I lost track of how many times you'd do it. Like, I would just start going up the stairs and then Rooster would just be there just staring at me, unblinking.
Come on and try it.
All right. I've over the years had a total of 4 cats that I know of. The first one that I basically grew up with was named Taffy. She was a cat that had like, I think it was ash gray type fur coat.
Mm-hmm.
Every time my dad would come home from work, take off his boots, that cat would go over to his shoes and just sniff them.
He's been interesting places she wants to know about. Ooh, strange smells. Let's have a sniff.
You ever have Maya do that to your shoes?
I mean, no, but she's done that to my armpits.
My dog's always after spend 5 minutes.
Maya has this really weird habit of licking people's armpits after they've deodorized.
You should probably keep her away from that. I can't imagine that's healthy.
I mean,
my dogs always have to team up and sniff you for about 5 minutes whenever you change your clothes.
I'm good.
yeah, going back to Maya for a second, there is another thing. One time, my family and I, we were going to head on out to Ocean Shores. It's sort of a small little town right next to the Pacific Ocean for vacation one year. And it was all of us, but we couldn't, of course, take Maya, and she would absolutely despise the car trip anyway, and so she had to stay at home. So we needed to figure someone out to house sit her, and I was not doing it yet. So we had to call upon Grandma.
Oh dear.
Grandma, the one that Maya hates the most.
You could have took her to a kennel.
Nuh-uh. We were not going to do that to her. She knew Grandma, even if she didn't like her, and we were going to make sure she stayed in her familiar territory so she wasn't leaving her house. Maya's a finicky thing. So,
yes, that is.
But the whole time we were gone, I kept asking, you think when we get back, we're going to walk into the front door and just see Grandma on one side of the house and Maya on the other just staring at each other across the hall?
Please tell me that happened when you got home.
No.
Damn it.
Afraid not.
You sound so depressed about that.
I kind of wish it would have been horrible, but I kind of wish that is what had happened. But no, years like I said, we just came back and I was kind of walking by. I was like, oh hey, you're back. Okay, and then went back to doing whatever it was she was doing. And Grandma was like, thank God, now I can go home. Because it was not the best of times for those two because they don't get along. I honestly still think it's because on Maya's first day with us, Grandma threw a pink fluffy toy right into her face. It was an accident, yes, but I don't think she adequately apologized, and so their trust with each other was forever soiled.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my dog's a fucking moron.
Which one?
I mean, aren't they always?
All of them, but the youngest one we have currently in particular, she's a sweet little thing. She's barely older than a puppy currently. When we were first bringing her home, I was in the back seat. we set a blanket up on the seat next to me for her to sleep on, and instead of sleeping on that, she kind of crawled over to my lap and just curled up on me for the entire 2-hour journey, which was pretty adorable. And then she kind of nuzzled away to my chest and ended up kind of hugging her all the way home. It was the cutest.
She wanted hugs.
She does want hugs. She loves her hugs. Sasha's amazing like that. Though she hasn't figured out that she can't stop on the polished wooden floor. Like we downstairs we have a polished wooden flooring, and I've lost. And whenever she gets even the slightest bit excited, she'll start running off, bolt at the speed of light towards where it excites her, and she can't stop. So she will just go a door, a wall, a chair. She'll go into it face first every single time. I've just lost track of how many times she's nutted herself on concrete. Or brick, whatever. Oh, and the elder one we have in the house, we have two outside who are inseparable, but also disruptive, so they have a kennel. The elder one we have on the inside, a Rottweiler by the name of Cass, she's adorable and cute, and the mature one most of the time, at least ever since we got Sasha, because Sasha's younger. But she also can be a little shit. When I'm home, it's always my job to feed them. So whenever I get bowls of biscuits or whatever, Cass always does this thing where she starts skipping backwards into the kitchen. So I call her Skippy. But she doesn't look where she's going. She just kind of jumps backwards until I give her the bowl. But also, whenever I'm getting it ready, she'll only do that when I'm holding the bowl and bringing it over. When I'm preparing the bowl, she'll stand in the kitchen and watch me intently. But the thing is, by this point we've normally already eaten, so our leftovers are on the side. She won't jump and get them. She never does, unless as I'm getting the food, I turn my eyes away from her for a second, and then it's gone.
Ooh, disappearing acts.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Pretty much. Like, she can be as good as gold, then you turn your back and your food's gone.
Royal weddings do bring out the strangest ponies. Achoo! Sneezes confetti.
God damn it, Tone.
I didn't even do that.
Oh, and
You said
there was also the time the dogs outside dislocated my knee. The little bastards.
Aww.
I once dislocated my kneecap by accident.
They didn't
I
mean
hope
to,
you didn't
because
do it on purpose.
I was
I hope you
I
didn't just walk out with a hammer and just went to town.
No,
on your knee.
the reason I specified by accident is because I was actually messing with my kneecap, because it's not like directly attached to the rest of the other bones.
It's normally not. It's got a little cartilage, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a floater. The thing is at one point I kind of, I always need something in my hands, and sometimes my kneecap happens to be that thing. At one point,
All right, back on the medical discussion. I got it.
At one point, I kind of squidged it off to the side as I normally do, and then I made the abhorrent mistake of leaning back a little bit in my chair, which caused my leg to bend. Which meant that now I have a kneecap. Which meant I now had a kneecap that was out of place and would not go back in.
You just need to give it a tap in that situation. Like my kneecap.
I mean, I managed to get it back into place by sort of extending my leg and giving it a little push, and it was back into place. It hurt like hell for all of 3 seconds. It was like that, though.
Yeah,
I never want to have suffered. Yeah.
My left knee, I actually have a problem because the kind of the little crevice where it sits is actually too shallow and not well developed. So my kneecap can come out really easily. First time we found this out is when I was just leaning against the wall in the living room. My stepdad decided to kick me in the shins because, he was being a dick. And the sudden jolt I gave kind of caused the kneecap to fly entirely out and travel halfway down my leg.
Oh, God!
It was the most painful experience of my life. It killed. Though he kind of helped guide it back into place, which was equally as painful, and this was when I was still in high school, so I was off high school for the next 3 or so days because I couldn't barely move my leg. It was all swollen and whatnot. Obviously, I had to re-teach myself how to walk. Second time it happened, I didn't go to hospital after this time because we got it back in place and I was fine after a few days. We thought it was just a random freak occurrence. Second time it happened was in physical education class or PE class in high school. This happened about a month later. We were doing random exercises. I was doing a couple push-ups, and then my knee went. It didn't go as far down as it did before, though it did kind of was jolting out the side, and it kind of looked like I almost had a knife jolting out my skin. It was painful as all hell.
I bet.
It wasn't actually as bad though, because this time because this is the second time I did it, I realized what happened. So instead of first time I fucking screamed because it was painful. This time I kind of didn't. I just kind of looked to the teacher with eyes that said, "Help! I'm kind of not doing well." So they came over. Because it wasn't so bad. All I had to do was kind of just whack it, and it kind of went back into place. Though through regulation, the high school did call an ambulance and asked you to go to the hospital, where they checked it out, and that's when they found out my kneecap's not. If the socket is too shallow and it's all wrong. So that was fun.
Neat.
The third time it happened was the dogs. When I was feeding the outside dogs, normally that falls to my parents because I do the inside, they do outside. But they were on holiday that week. I was looking after all the dogs. So I was feeding them outside. I gave them their bowls. I went to retrieve the previous day's bowls to wash, which was inside their kennel, because Marley, one of the dogs outside, he always does this cute little thing that when he's done, he kind of picks up the bowl with his mouth, and then with wagging tail and a spring in his step, kind of takes it inside, like he's really proud of himself. I don't know why he does, but as I was retrieving the bowls, I was exiting back out, and Marley just randomly shot out and shot past me, which knocked me to the side and lodged my kneecap against the wall. At which point it went completely out. And I found that my dogs don't seem to understand the concept of pain compared to playing, so they didn't really understand what was going on, kept jumping over me, so I had to drag myself out of the kennel, lock them in, and then kind of push it back into place on the grass.
Ouch.
So that was fun.
Doesn't sound like it.
And that's...
Yeah.
It wasn't. I once again did not walk. But all times it's happened, I couldn't walk for like a couple of days because it was too painful.
I'd imagine.
And that was all 3 times I've had bad experiences with my knee. And just every now and then, though, it gives a random jolt because of the fact that it's not in properly.
Well, now that we've had that enlightening discussion.
Hey, you get to talk your medical bullshit. We get to talk my medical bullshit.
All right.
Fair
I
enough.
don't have much medical bullshit to talk about because I've never really did too much to myself.
Ditto.
Most of my shit just kind of happens. Cyst on my ass, fungus on the middle finger,
Okay.
on my nose.
Okay.
I broke my arm once.
We already heard about all
I didn't
these.
break it,
We
I
don't need to
fractured
refresh
it.
your
Yeah, I know. I was recapping for the
Yeah.
audience.
Well,
Yeah, like
so-
I broke my arm once because I was in primary school actually, which I think is elementary school for you in America.
Elementary or middle, I think so. Yeah.
Elementary, whichever one's first. I was kind of just sitting at the bottom of a slide. It was a hot day. I was just kind of taking a moment. One of my friends, who was a big kid, shall we say, he decided that it was a good idea while I was sitting at the bottom of the slide to do a running jump down the slide. So he barreled feet first right into my arm, which caused me to fly off the slide, land on the concrete on my arm, and yeah, it kind of fractured. That didn't go well.
I bet.
Yeah, I imagine it didn't.
Yeah. If you want to hear a stupid story, this happened at my school when I was still going there.
Okay, can I stop you there for just a second?
Yep.
Okay, just so you know, pretty much as soon as you finish telling this story, I think we should move on to the second subject I have lined up for today's Jibber Jabber, because we've been going on about pets.
Should bring us to the full hour.
Oh
All
god.
right.
So, yeah.
Apparently during one of the classes that have, constructional stuff, a couple kids were playing with air hoses.
Oh dear God.
Oh dear.
And one of them accidentally got the other guy in the rear end with the air hose.
Wait a second. Say that one more time. I missed it.
One of the guys got one of their buddies in the rear end with an air hose.
Oh,
Oh, an air hose. I thought you meant like an arrow, like from a bow and arrow.
No. An
air
air hose that pumps air, like an air compressor type dealing.
Okay.
oh.
Yes.
I can see where this is going.
Yes, it ended up popping his colon.
Oh.
Ow.
Yes, he had to be care flighted to the hospital, which is not too far away from the school.
Surprise.
Yeah.
How?
And that, kids, is why you don't play with shit like that.
That's not the sort of anal you want. I just want to point that out right now.
Tone. Yeah.
Yes,
I'm sorry, it was too easy.
You
that
could
is
have
not
just left
that
it alone.
you want to be messing with.
God. Yeah. All right, so let's go on to the second little thing that's
All
had me
right.
terrified for the
All
last
right.
half hour.
Okay. So.
I've also sent you a quick message, Brian,
Ah, shit.
in
what is-
Skype.
God damn it.
Okay.
Blank, I'm scared.
I can do that. I can do that, Tom. I can do this thing
Okay.
you're asking me to do.
So before we do that, shall we introduce our latest project?
Oh,
So-
God.
As some of you out there in the audience and among my guests may know, I am the utter bastard according to the rest of you.
And now,
And-
according to Hades, I am also the utter bastard.
Yes.
You have earned your other, yes.
Yes, we are both cows now. We share the same rank.
Wait, I thought Tom was the utter fuck.
No.
No, he's the
He
utter. No, we are both fucks and we are both utter bastards.
You
Yes.
could say we are the board of utter bastards.
Yes,
God
we are the utter
damn
bastard society, otherwise known as the Board of Utter Bastards. We have created a group on filmfiction.net with the express purpose of holding stories that are in the same vein as things like Little Choices or Soaring on Little Wings, where they're all happy and go lucky, and even if there's a little bit of emotional drama, it's mostly uplifting and fun, and a fun little adventure to go on. And then the sledgehammer comes in and ruins your heart.
And then you just shit all over it.
And we also have a folder of all the stories we've done where we're just bastards throughout.
Yeah, like the Fiends trilogy or Change.
Yep. Or Fallout the Question Waters Change, that's also in there.
Fuck you.
So, I would like now to read off for you, in the voice of Discord, the description for the board of Utter Bastards filmfiction.net page.
And for the folders, don't forget those.
Oh yeah, that's right. We do have those. Yeah, I'll read their descriptions too.
All right, lay it on us.
All right. So, this is the place for those authors who have the stones to write warm and uplifting stories that, in some capacity, bash the reader's emotional teeth in with a giant sledgehammer that came out of nowhere. Stories where the pain is a shock and unexpected, and enough to warrant people in the comments sections casually pointing out that Amazon sells pitchforks to their Prime program. And they do. Seriously, look it up. If you have such a story where the feels run harder than any expected them to, then maybe someday you will receive a notice from us confirming your admission to the board of utter bastards.
The shit you two come up with.
The Pits of Tartarus folder, which holds the Fiends trilogy of Love and Loss, the Change series, and Fallout Equestria War Does Change, has the description of these stories will hit you in the face. Again. And again. And guess what? Again! And of course, there is also the folder entitled You Fucks. These are the stories that will let you climb to the top of the mountain before Sparta kicking you back down to the jagged rocks below, and further still, into Tartarus. Enjoy.
Containing soaring on little wings and little choices.
This is the board of utter bastards. Only accessible via invite if you wish to be a member, but all are welcome to browse the contents.
And
Enjoy yourselves. Yes, and weep. I'll record it with a video camera. Perfect blackmail material.
Blackmail for whom?
Yes.
All right. Which one of you guys came up with this?
My mother, actually.
Yeah, that's a true story.
Are you shitting me right now?
No, I'm not. Let me explain. You see, every day that my mother works, that my dad also happens to work, I am tasked with walking up to her workplace when she gets off to meet her and walk back with her. Because, well, for one thing, chatting when walking is nice, and two, it's usually like 10 p.m. when she gets off work, and walking home at that late in the night isn't always wise when you're on your own. Hence why I walk up to meet her and go back with her.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we oftentimes discuss all kinds of shit, like my projects, her work, all kinds of stuff. This most recent time, I was relaying to her the fact that Tom had been promoted to join me as at the rank of utter bastard instead of just utter bastard or bastard. And then she suggested, you should make like a society for people of that rank. First thing that popped into my head, you should make a film fiction group based on that notion.
And voila, here it is.
Yep, the board of utter bastards was formed, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put a link to it in
Remember when we
gonna go put it-
disappeared into Locust Lane earlier? This is what we were doing.
Yeah, we were making this group. We were in Lurker's Lane before we started, and just for context for the listening audience, Lurker's Lane is a voice channel in the Discord server that I set up when I first made the Discord server on the premise that sooner or later I'm going to have a large enough base of people. I've already went over this, but just to reiterate, sooner or later I'm going to have enough people that Lurker's Lane is just going to have people hanging out in it waiting for me to show up and say hi. They're going to be lurking there. And that's why Lurker's Lane is there. It doesn't get much use right now, but sooner or later it's going to be one of the most active places on this channel. I bet you that right now.
Yeah, it's nowadays it's just for Tone just to pop in there and say, hey guys, I'm here. I'm lurking in my own lane.
And then no one else shows up and I get sad and go do something else.
Mm.
But
And then spam us with pictures.
Spam us with pictures and YouTube videos, mostly from that Daily Dose of Internet channel.
well, I mean, to be
and
fair, that channel is
among other
actually kind of fun. You gotta admit.
It is fun. I'm not saying it's not fun. You just tend to spam us quite a bit with those and all kinds of other
I
shit.
post one a day because that's how often they're made. For context, there's a series of videos that I almost always post when a new one comes out in the Discord chat we're using. The Daily Dose of Internet series of videos posted once a day, bunch of neat stuff. Go check it out. It's quite interesting, some of the shit that happens in there. Cute, funny, enjoyable, adorable, weird, fascinating, any number of things. Like a guy who just has a watch that just actually just draws the hour and minute on a stretch of cardboard that's just strapped to his wrist every minute.
Interesting analogy.
No, seriously, that's what it does.
God damn it.
That sounds very inconvenient.
Oh, it probably is, but it's neat.
That's not the right word I'm looking for, but that's the best I can think of.
Cumbersome.
I don't know.
Closer. Oh well.
So Blank looks like you're gonna have to step up your game if you're gonna join the Society of Utter Bastards.
I mean, because we've got a lot of stuff in here between the two of us. We got 7 stories in the Pits of Tartarus and 2 in Ninefox.
Yeah, the 2 stories that are in Ninefox, as we mentioned, Little Choices and Soaring on Little Wings. And in Pits of Tartarus, we have Change, Queen of the Hive, Followed Equestria, War Does Change, Of Love and Loss, The Mare That Eats the Monsters, The Fiend That Heralds Dark Skies, and The Ones Who Return from Stone.
Yep.
We
I've
just
Love
still
and
got an
Loss,
update, by the
not
way.
as well known. I've Love and Loss, not as well known as my other stories, it's kind of an early one back during early days of change, but it's suitable since, I kill off a lot of characters in it.
Apparently Starlight dies in chapter 1.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Grow God drains her and turns into a husk, basically.
Yeah.
And then Celestia dies. All in chapter 1.
All right, so we've got about 9 minutes left. I don't really know what else to talk about, and I'm going to have to go get food pretty much as soon as we're done here, so...
Man.
All right.
I don't know, you guys
I just have to say, I'm probably never going to get to that level, but I swear, I'm going to try.
Well, I'm just waiting to see what you think of some of the things I have planned for Fallout Question. What has changed, Hades? Because I know you're a Fallout Question fan, so you in particular.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Especially with starting with some of the stuff over the next few chapters, since you've read the most recent, have you not?
Yeah, I have. I left a comment on your video, on your deal.
Ah, so.
About to say, I see that, and I'm utterly terrified. And it's honestly,
It's just, it's just a really nice place. I don't know what you're talking about.
oh yeah, it's absolutely nice place. This nice
I think
little,
Fluttershy would
nice-
give it 5
this
stars.
nice friendly ghoul who just happens to just let you stay in her village that nobody knows about.
Remember, kids, stay away from cults.
Stay away from
Yes.
cults. But
Especially,
remember,
Cults,
when they all
yes,
have-
yes. Stay away from cults. They have cuties.
yeah, but no,
Not that kind of cult.
not. But no. Now remember, Now remember,
especially
kid,
when they say the
always
next
be
day is going
kind.
to be brighter for you.
but no. But remember, kids, always be kind to ghouls, except the ones that try to eat your face. You go ahead and shoot the fuck out of that.
Yeah.
It's time to go feral hunting.
I don't know why they just give you really wide smiles. What's wrong with that?
Well, considering what they've probably been through, you can't really blame them. I mean, look at poor Derpy. She's been around for 200 years, and she's still happy and smiley and bubbly.
I don't think. I remember Scrappy in the chat that tried to smile that wide and it physically hurt his face.
Well, it's Derpy. It's just she's
Plus,
too
becoming a
I
ghoul,
know-
you have a chance to.
I don't mean Derpy. Derpy's just
long
happy
life.
because he's Derpy. She's amazing.
It comes at the life. It comes at the price of smelling really bad.
yes, and giving really squishy hugs, according to Little Pip.
No, I mean, ghoul.
It's a ghoul. Yeah.
And also
I think-
Derpy.
It's pretty
I
cool.
think she's squishy anyway.
Yeah.
I can imagine her being.
Are you kidding? Before Fallout Equestria, Derpy was made of fucking titanium. We know this because she was able to sit down and break a building.
Oh, trust me, she's still going strong even 200 years later.
I mean, let me put it to you this way: I am more than confident that if like some sort of uber-powered supervillain decided, or like just villainous type character in general decided to set their sights specifically on Derpy and decided to try and fight Derpy, Derpy wouldn't even be aware of the fact that someone was trying to attack her. She'd just be going about her routine, and her own little personal bits of klutziness or obliviousness would lead to her kicking the guy who's attacking her's ass without even realizing it.
Either that or she get turned to stone. As per
I mean-
movie.
I mean, one example that kind of appears in my head is like, well, to be fair, Rainbow Dash put her there, so
Well, no, you saw Derpy running on screen.
I saw a rainbow blur just as the explosion was happening, which indicates to me that Rainbow grabbed Derpy, put her there, grabbed Twilight, and left.
No, if you look at the screen, you see Rainbow and Derpy are both running towards Twilight.
Eh.
Rainbow grabbed Twilight, got out of there. Derpy ended up taking the bullet, trying to save Twilight, but not quite as successful as Rainbow Dash.
Oh well. At any rate, but I mean, like, I've always had this image in my head of like some evil like pony or whatever launches himself at Derpy's back, and she just sees a spare bit on the ground. Is like, ooh, a bit. Leans down to pick it up, and as a result, like, her rump rises high into the air, and the enemy was like going for the back of her head, I wound up just plowing face first into her butt, and we know her butt has the power to destroy worlds, and so we just kind of... So he just stops dead, breaks his nose, and falls to the ground unconscious.
In follow-up question, turns you basically describing Boo.
Well, I don't know who that is.
Boo, think Derpy, only with the mind of a child, like a literal child.
He's made from
And-
Discord's magic.
Basically, is half Discord.
Yeah,
She freaking... In recent chapters, she clapped her hooves and the clip in a zebra's weapon just kind of fell out.
Oh, that was Discord.
No, Discord's gone. This was in the Space Center. That was.
Yes, I remember that.
So-
And she's still part Discord.
Oh yeah, because I know she becomes a new spirit of chaos. So yes, she's kind of flexing her powers for the first
Boo's
time.
adorable.
Yes, she is.
Go for the eyes,
She's only-
Boo! Go for the eyes!
She only eats snack cakes,
Only
and she
eats
sings
fancy
songs
bucks.
about it.
Fancy buck cake.
Hesitate eating some of the food that's like 200 years old.
They
I mean-
put so many preservatives into those
They
things
made-
and fall out.
They made them to
Basically
last
no-
a goddamn long time.
Especially if they're, like, in cans.
I mean,
food
like
lasts.
think like the fancy cakes that you find a lot of the times, and
Sugar bombs contain
sugar bombs.
entire
About to say, how do you make cereal last 200 years?
Apple bombs, which in the most recent
Sugar
chapter of product writings I've read have now been ruined for Blackjack because of
yes.
something P21 said.
P21 ruined it for Blackjack. I remember that.
But
I don't
basically
understand
saying
what
it
you're
tastes like your mother.
Oh,
Oh my You had to go there, Tom. You see, look what you did to Tone. He's so lost right now. I have no we don't have time
Spoilers.
to
I don't understand, but that's okay. Princess Cadence is a literal potato battery, so
That's alright, I've broken you more than you've broken me today, it's fine.
about to say.
I still don't even know what's going on when you say potato battery.
I mean she's brain dead and she's powering the entire empire.
you
What
turn-
story we're talking about with Teartone?
This is the third in the Fiends trilogy.
Oh, Fiends trilogy. All right.
spoiler alert to anyone who's listening
Have
and
you
hasn't
got-
gotten that far.
Have you gotten past the second story, Paladin?
No, I have not. I have not begun to read the second story. I'm taking
Well,
a
you need,
Hurry the fuck up!
you need to get it, and we need to get. And Tone, you need to finish the third story.
I know.
Like I said, I'm taking a break from the Fiends trilogy.
Like I've got like 4
I'll say
fucking
that-
stories I have to work on. I got to work on Only a Blind Filly, The Hotel, The Last Story in the Fiends trilogy, and the Little Flashes series, which is going to be like 6
And
stories long if
and
I go
yet-
all the way with it.
And yet you take like almost every other day you update little choices
It's so much fun.
to sink our ships.
They will rise again.
Game fire.
And on but on the
Shipwrecking.
but on the note of that and Jinrami tasting like apple bombs, we've like got a minute left.
I'm about to say again, there's not enough time to give him context.
Does he want context on what goes on the stable in 99?
No, probably not.
I mean, they don't have age restrictions there.
All right.
It's fucked up.
No,
Well,
Tom.
neither does this video.
Good night, everybody.
Just waiting for it to turn to 3 p.m. so I can start the outro.
It's like a minute. I think you can get away with it. It'll probably take a minute to do the bloody outro.
No, my
Hold on,
OCD,
you
no,
guys
no,
probably-
no, no,
you
my
guys last
OCD will
next
kill me
2
if I
minutes.
don't wait.
Well, fuck your
Oh,
OCD.
we
No,
did
it's
tell
part
you
of
more
me.
about Jinrami tasting like apples.
Oh my
And then,
God.
and also, by the way, in that 10
My
second
little
slap photo,
pony,
Rainbow was in
my
bed.
little
Let's do
pony.
it. Just-
Ah,
Oh my goodness.
Rainbow was
still
in bed.
2:59. There we go. Okay, it's 3 p.m. Everyone shut the fuck up.
Nah.
Quiet.
Sure.
Like traumatizing you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to this week's episode of Jibber Jabber. I need a
He said-
drink.
It's crying.
You need a lot of things.
Bye, everyone.
So,
See you next time.
as always, I am Skajaramas, otherwise known as Tone Shift, your host. Thanks for tuning in to listen to us talk for a while. We'll see you next week, hopefully.
After he recovers from this shit.
Yeah, probably.